accurate. So I'll give you the punchline. You can see after it'll start to make projections. They don't have a lot. The darker colors are the first standard deviation. The lighter colors, which up here are showing up as no color, play like you can see the light colors that are going along here, or the second standard deviation. It's just probabilistic to project where the thing might end up. I'll save the punchline for a minute. Deborah, your serve, and
It's not going to take us much time to respond. $500,000 is a non-starter. We're inclined to just leave. They're obviously not here in good faith. We've shown them our damages. As I said, $4 million really is kind of a no fat left on the bone. And we think that's a realistic assessment. Convince me to stay.
we're trying to cut. I would love to, but we're trying to cut me out of this thing. And that's with the transparency. I would love to have that conversation, but let's just say we did. I was Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 and now you've got your survey says your answer.
All right, well, we'll come down to 3.8 just to give them one more chance to be realistic.
And it is 11:06. We're getting better on time now. What do you guys think automatically when somebody does that kind of? You got 200,000 on a 4 million demand. What are your mediators thinking now? We got some work to do, right? We got some work to do. This is either Deborah's breathing her own exhaust, or we're going to have a breakthrough later in the day, because if either of these guys believe what they're saying, then, but that's the nice thing about this. Constantly the criticisms of mediators are patience and perseverance. And both of them are imbued with, we just sit through this too long and we know where it's going, but we're getting impatient. And you just want to throw the stapler at somebody at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? But we don't. And if you understand the neuroscience of it, that's why when you teach this, if you understand how people are making the decisions, how flawed it is, but predictable it is, then it becomes amusing. And you're like, okay, what are they going to do? And somebody put the gain-loss slide up. And I'll play the game, and I know several mediators probably do, of walking into the room, taking complete advantage of reactive devaluation, where I know that they're going to think worse of the other side than what they're really doing, and say, okay, Deborah, what do you think they offer? I should do that to John now. And guess what it does? I play closest to the pin with everybody in the room and make them all give me numbers. I had one the other day, 6 in one room, I don't remember how many. Every single number that the 6 people in the opposing room gave me was at least 10% higher than the actual number. What does that do? You say, it makes Jeremy's slide on gain-loss real. We know that people will take twice as much risk to avoid a loss as they will to get the same equivalent gain. That was experimental psychology out of Kahneman and Tversky for years. They proved it with MRI machines. They told you that it's all about allocation of oxygen, and MRI machines that measure it, they prove the same thing. People faced with a loss on a problem will have fireworks in their brain, because it's all kind of cognitive dissonance to get away from it, and people are seeing it. So what happens when I ask that question? Because people are overreacting and reactively devaluing, they automatically make a loss into a gain. Because John's going to tell me that Deborah's offer meds this week and going to demand $6 million, when she comes in at 3.8, he's like, wow, this is not a $3.8 million loss that I'm going to have a lot of cognitive resistance to. I just picked up $1.2 million gain, right? And you think that's a circus trick, and what the wording is, and read Nudge on slight changes of words, you'll change results by half, depending on one change of word. And by making it into a gain, it's processed completely differently. All right, John, I've talked too much about something besides your case. What do you want to do? You heard Deborah as I tempered it.
Don, it took her 6 minutes to come up with that number because she didn't think about it.
Well, or she might have thought about it quite a bit before we got here, John. But
Quite frankly, I don't bet against myself. I think it's time. I'll throw you another number to see if she wants to come back to the series. I'll put another $100,000 on the table, but it's time for her to do it.
600,000 George Washington's. 11:15. Well, now watch what happens on this thing. Not only on how it changes behavior on, or the projection on one side, but it's changing the other side's projection based on what it anticipates the reaction to it's going to be. So I always say, turn off your Angry Birds for just a minute, and instead of asking me, what do you think they're going to think about it, model it out. Notice that since they're doing 6 minute between bids, that the computer's saying, oh, wait a minute, this is not going to be 7 moves. At this rate, we got a long time to go until we get this thing done. Don, you're going to be reduced to a clothespin, going back and forth at high rates of speed by the time we get through with this. Deborah. Oh, but quick station break. We're now 2 rounds in. Looks like the overlap is somewhere about, what does that say, 1.658. So the parties are $3.2 million apart. The projection is, what, 150 grand off? So within 150 grand, which would be, very small percentage. After 2 moves, just like chess, remember the chess players will say 2 to 3 moves. After 2 moves, it'll get within 6.5% on average of what the final outcome is. Watch what happens with 3. The game's going to be done by a 3rd move. Deborah?
Well, I mean, he's not moving at all. That's, I mean, tell him, as we say in Los Angeles, you gotta hang the meat where the dog can smell it. I can't smell 600,000. Not when I've got a $4 million claim. I came down to 3.8. I'll stay in the game at 3.7. I'll match his 100, but I'm not moving.
3.7 at what time?
11:30.
Notice that the time projections on the concession plan are off by 5 minutes. The computer's figured out what the pace of play is going to be out of these rascals. That's 12:30, 11:30. And all this is not to show you cute baby software. It's to show how predictable people are in negotiations. John, give me another round. Let's see if we can get within 3.5% or so.
Well, they always tell me don't spend all your money in one place, but I mean, we're either going to get there or we're not. I'll put a little bit more money on to get 1135, and I'll get 750 grand. But I got to tell you now, I'm already running out of runway.
And what'd you tell me the time was?
1135.
11:35. So we're off by 5 minutes on the projection. Give them 50,000 every 30 minutes. All right, let's do one more, and then we'll go to Q&A for the whole team. Deborah.
Well, he came back fairly quickly, and he broke out of his 100,000 at a time. So I'm going to reward him by coming down 200. So I'm at 3.5 million at 11:45.
3 minutes off. Now notice what happened. You just got exactly what we've been talking about, the reciprocating behavior. That's why I picked these champs. They've been in every chair in the room. They'll know exactly what's going on. That's what we hear, but audibly. But notice that that's complete mirror neurons. That is neurology and everything Jeremy talked about manifesting in a live, noisy round of what's going on. It's 5 o'clock. We're going to Q&A for 15, and we can pick up anything else there. Thank you, too, for being good sports. And I'll turn it back over to Mary Beth.